Let's talk about China. Not just the country you see in travel brochures or the one that pops up in headlines, but the real China, the one that shapes our world in ways we often overlook. Yes, that China, the one behind your iPhone, your sneakers, and maybe even your last Happy Meal toy. The China that quietly powers the global economy, touching nearly every aspect of our daily lives, often without us even realizing it. It's a global superpower, an economic giant, and the subject of heated debates in boardrooms, parliaments, and living rooms around the world. At the center of all this is a question that makes many uncomfortable. Is China evil? It's a word we toss around, but does it really fit? Or is the truth more complicated? We're not talking about the Chinese people or their rich, diverse culture. We're talking about the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, the organization that holds the real power. The CCP presents a face of progress and prosperity to the world, showcasing gleaming cities and technological marvels. But behind the scenes, it runs a system that can be dark, secretive, and deeply oppressive for many. Getting a straight answer is tough. The CCP is a master of propaganda, spinning a narrative that suits its goals and tightly controlling what information gets out. But sometimes the mask slips. A leaked document, a brave journalist risking everything, or a terrified citizen daring to speak out. Through those cracks, we glimpse a reality far more disturbing than the official story, a world where dissent is dangerous and truth is often hidden. So let's pull back the curtain. We'll look at surveillance, censorship, and human rights abuses that rarely make it to the front page. China's actions aren't just a domestic issue, they ripple across the globe, affecting economies, politics, and even the products we use every day in ways you might not realize. We'll also look at the other side, the undeniable progress China has made, lifting millions out of poverty and transforming itself into a modern powerhouse. Because nothing is ever as simple as good or evil. The truth is always more nuanced, more layered, and often more surprising than we expect. By the end, you can make up your own mind. The facts are here for you to weigh, question, and consider. But one thing's for sure, after this, you won't be able to say you didn't know. Imagine trying to look up the news or even just a funny cat video online, something millions do every day without a second thought. But instead of finding what you want, you suddenly hit an invisible wall, a barrier you can't see but definitely feel. Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the world's biggest platforms are blocked, their icons crossed out like forbidden fruit. This isn't a rare inconvenience, it's daily life for over 1 billion people in China, where technology is everywhere but freedom online is scarce. The Great Firewall acts as a digital cage, tightly controlling what people can see, think, and say on the internet. It's run by armies of censors and advanced technology, scrubbing away anything the government dislikes. Tiananmen Square, human rights, even the president's name are wiped from search results. The result? A sanitized, carefully curated internet, where only the government's version of truth is allowed to exist, and alternative viewpoints are erased. For many young Chinese, events like the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre are so hidden, they might as well have never happened at all. The Chinese Communist Party paints itself as the nation's savior, isolating its citizens from global conversations and alternative ideas. The system is always evolving. Now, state-controlled apps and platforms dominate the digital landscape, and every click, like, or comment is monitored. Armies of online commentators, sometimes called the 50 Cent Army, flood social media with pro-government propaganda, drowning out any hint of dissent or criticism. The Great Firewall isn't just about censorship, it's a tool of psychological control, keeping the population compliant, cautious, and disconnected from the outside world. It's not really about cat videos or memes, it's about controlling history, shaping reality, and deciding what over 1 billion people are allowed to know. And for now, it's working. If the Great Firewall controls what you see, China's surveillance state controls what you do. 600 million CCTV cameras, many with facial recognition, track your every move. The data feeds into the social credit system, a real-life score based on your behavior. Jaywalking, criticizing the government, or playing too many video games, your score drops. Donate to charity or praise the CCP, your score rises. A low score means travel bans, job restrictions, even public shaming. It's a gamified system of obedience where conformity is rewarded and dissent punished. The government sells it as building trust, but it's really about control. People fear not just the police, but their neighbors. Anyone could report them. The social credit system punishes individuality and gives the state unprecedented power. It's a high-tech leash on 1.4 billion people, tightening every day. Surveillance is normalized, and resistance is dangerous. This is Big Brother, real, relentless, and everywhere. Behind censorship and surveillance are real people whose lives are shattered. The Hong Kong 12, young activists tried to flee, were captured, and disappeared into China's legal system. Their crime? Wanting a voice in their future. Human rights lawyers who defend activists are detained, tortured, or simply vanish. Citizen journalists reporting on COVID-19, like Zhang Zhan, are imprisoned for telling the truth. Feminists, labor activists, LGBTQ+, all face harassment and suppression. Independent organizing is crushed without mercy. These aren't isolated incidents, they're part of a systematic campaign to eliminate dissent. The message: stay silent or pay the price. For every story we hear, thousands more are lost in the shadows. The human cost is measured in broken families, ruined careers, and silenced voices. We can't talk about human rights in China without talking about Xinjiang. The Uyghurs, a mostly Muslim minority, face what many call a modern-day genocide. Over 1 million are forced into re-education camps. Survivors report torture, indoctrination, and forced labor. Women face forced sterilization. Children are separated from parents. Xinjiang is an open-air prison, checkpoints, cameras, spyware, and constant surveillance. The goal: erase a culture, strip away identity and faith. The Chinese government denies everything, producing propaganda to counter the evidence. But satellite photos, leaked documents, and survivor testimonies tell the real story. This is the gravest human rights crisis of the 21st century. It's happening right now, in plain sight, and the world is watching. China's authoritarianism isn't just a domestic issue, it's being exported worldwide. The Belt and Road Initiative builds infrastructure abroad, but critics call it debt trap diplomacy. Countries unable to repay loans hand over strategic assets, like Sri Lanka's port. China uses economic power to enforce censorship globally. Hollywood, the NBA, even universities self-censor to avoid Beijing's wrath. Corporations and governments are pressured to toe the party line on Taiwan, Tibet, and more. China launches cyber attacks, operates overseas police stations, and uses apps like TikTok to gather data and spread propaganda. The dragon's reach extends into economies, politics, and social media feeds. This isn't just China's problem, it's everyone's. The CCP is reshaping the global order in its image. Silence and appeasement come at a cost. The world must decide how to respond, because China's influence is everywhere. But the story isn't simple. It's a complex narrative that defies easy categorization. We have to acknowledge China's remarkable achievements, which have transformed the nation. The government has lifted 800 million people out of extreme poverty, the largest in history, a feat that has reshaped countless lives. Life expectancy and literacy have soared. Education and healthcare have reached new heights. Millions now have access to food, housing, and healthcare, improving their quality of life. China has built the world's largest high-speed rail network, revolutionizing transportation. New cities and tech hubs are emerging, showcasing innovation and growth. It leads in solar panels, wind turbines, and is a global leader in renewable energy. The nation invests heavily in renewables, paving the way for a sustainable future. For many citizens, life has improved dramatically. This is the paradox. A nation that builds the future while silencing dissent. A nation that builds the future while silencing dissent, maintaining control over its people. It can lift millions from poverty, providing hope and opportunity, while imprisoning 1 million more, raising serious human rights concerns. Acknowledging these successes doesn't excuse abuses, but it explains why the picture is so complicated and multifaceted. With layers of complexity. Some citizens and nations overlook the dark side for prosperity and stability, choosing economic growth over freedom. China is not a crumbling state. It's dynamic, ambitious, and building the future with determination. The world must grapple with both sides of this reality, understanding the full spectrum of its influence. The truth is never black and white, but a blend of contrasts and contradictions. Does the end justify the means? The CCP argues yes. Authoritarian control brings stability and growth. They point to poverty reduction and ask, could democracy have done this so fast? The China model appeals to other authoritarian leaders, economic growth without freedom. But the price is high: erased cultures, silenced journalists, and a society built on fear. The government promises a better future, but denies people the right to shape it. The deal: prosperity in exchange for obedience. The question: is this sustainable, or will the desire for freedom eventually win? The world is watching to see which prevails. So, is China evil? The answer isn't simple. The Chinese government is both a brutal oppressor and an engine of progress. Its economy is deeply intertwined with ours: your phone, your clothes, your car. Some argue for confrontation, sanctions, support for democracy, standing up for human rights. Others argue for engagement, cooperation on global issues, pressure behind the scenes. Both approaches have risks: conflict or hypocrisy. The challenge: hold China accountable without starting a global conflict. How do we defend democracy and freedom as China promotes an alternative model? There are no easy answers, but we must keep asking the hard questions, because how we respond will shape the world for the next 100 years. Ignoring the problem isn't an option. The choice is ours, now and for the future.